Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you're always in the loop with the latest updates. Today's episode is packed with exciting news and developments about the Iraqi Dinar IQD and the Vietnamese Dong VND, and we're going to dive deep into some of the major shifts happening in the currency world. From economic updates to the growing interest in digital currencies, we're going to cover it all. So let's get into it. First off, let's talk about Iraq. As many of you know, Iraq has been working tirelessly to stabilize its currency and make moves that will help it regain its former strength. This is no small feat, especially considering the political and economic challenges the country has faced over the years. But one of the key factors to Iraq's economic recovery is its strategy of controlling financial flows. There's been a push to get the so-called smart money out of the hands of certain groups that could potentially destabilize the currency further. Iraq's leadership has recognized that for the dinar to truly regain its value on the global stage, they need to make some tough decisions about who controls the money supply, and that means tightening up financial controls. What's encouraging, though, is that Iraq is fully committed to its currency's future. They're working towards ensuring the stability and strength of the dinar, and there are signs that they are on track to return to its glory days. With all the reforms in place, I believe Iraq won't let this opportunity slip away, and the dinar could see some significant gains in the years to come. Now, there's been a lot of talk around the actual amount of currency circulating in Iraq. Some people are speculating that there are upwards of 80 trillion dinar in circulation, but based on what I've seen and heard, I don't think the number is quite that high. In fact, I believe it will be much less. We don't have the full picture just yet, so trying to calculate this with any certainty is pretty much just guesswork. But as more information becomes available, we'll get a clearer idea of the true value and quantity of the dinar in circulation. Switching gears for a moment, I came across a rather interesting comment in the Intel Guru community that I wanted to address. Someone said they were planning to exchange their dinar on an international cruise line, claiming they wouldn't have to pay any taxes. Now, I don't know about you, but that idea struck me as completely off the mark. Let's set the record straight. You do have to pay taxes, folks. It's the law, and trying to avoid taxes is not only risky but also bad advice. Always, and I mean always, consult with a tax professional if you're unsure about your obligations. Understanding the taxes you need to pay, especially on currency exchanges, is crucial. So don't let rumors or hearsay lead you astray on this one. Let's move on to some other international news, and this one is quite significant. Recently, the Iranian rial has taken a major hit, dropping to an all-time low and crossing the 1 million rials to $1 mark. This is a huge development, and the reason behind the currency's sharp decline is the tightening of U.S. sanctions on Iran. These sanctions have had a profound effect on Iran's economy, and the ripple effects are being felt not just in the country but globally. The financial markets are closely watching this situation because it raises concerns about the stability of other currencies in the region, as well as the broader geopolitical implications. This situation could also have knock-on effects for global markets, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on in the coming months. Now, let's shift back to Iraq, where some interesting developments are taking place in the digital currency space. One of the things I've been following closely is Iraq's push for a digital dinar. There's been some chatter recently from a digital dinar enthusiast who mentioned that Iraq is not planning to phase out the paper dinar anytime soon. Instead, it seems the folding dinar will continue to be used for domestic transactions, especially as Iraq focuses on growing its tourism sector. So for now, the 30 dinar notes will still be circulating within the country. But here's where it gets exciting. The digital dinar is being set up to handle international transactions. Imagine transferring large sums of money across borders without the huge fees and processing delays that we often see with traditional banking systems. Instead of paying thousands of dollars in transaction fees, you could be paying just pennies. The digital dinar is poised to revolutionize how international money transfers work, and it could make cross-border transactions much smoother. However, there's one big hurdle to overcome: the reluctance of Iraqi citizens to trust digital currency. Let's face it, convincing people to embrace digital money in a country where trust in the financial system has been shaky at best won't be easy. But with time, education, and a solid infrastructure, there's potential for Iraq's digital currency to gain traction, especially for international transactions. Back to the guru world for a moment. There's been a lot of excitement in the community, with some people believing they're about to cash in on their dinar investments any day now. while others are still feeling uncertain about when the currency revaluation, RV, will happen. Some think it's imminent, while others argue it could take longer. The reality is no one knows for sure. The banks are still preparing for foreign currency exchanges, but without a clear timeline, it's tough to predict exactly when that'll happen. So, for those of you in the dinar investment space, my advice is to remain patient. The process of currency stabilization and revaluation can take time, but I do believe the long-term outlook for the dinar remains positive. Moving on to a topic that's been a hot-button issue recently. Iraq is currently facing a liquidity crisis. According to financial expert Mohammed Digger, one of the reasons for this crisis is Iraq's budget deficit, which has been exacerbated by the Ministry of Finance issuing large bonds to cover liquidity gaps. Iraq has been trying to sell bonds worth $3 trillion, or around $2.3 billion, to local banks. These bonds are being offered with attractive interest rates, 8% for a 2-year term and 10% for a 4-year term, in an effort to entice banks and investors. The goal here is to stabilize Iraq's finances, but there's still a lot of uncertainty around whether these efforts will be enough to resolve the liquidity crisis. On a more positive note, we've seen some interesting shifts in the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Iraqi dinar. As of Tuesday morning, the US dollar fell slightly in both Baghdad and Erbil, with the exchange rate sitting at 146,800 dinars per $100. Just the day before, it had been at 147,200 dinars per $100. While this change might seem small, it's a positive sign that Iraq's efforts to stabilize its currency are starting to show results. In Erbil, the dollar also declined slightly, with the selling price recorded at 146,800 dinars per $100, and the buying price sitting at 146,700 dinars. These shifts, while minor, indicate that Iraq is making progress in its efforts to control inflation and strengthen the dinar. So, what does all of this mean for the future of the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese Dong? As I've mentioned before, the road to currency stability is long and filled with hurdles. It's not going to be a quick or easy process, but Iraq is heading in the right direction with its reforms, its focus on digital currency, and its ongoing efforts to resolve liquidity issues. The Vietnamese Dong, on the other hand, is not facing the same degree of instability as the dinar. Vietnam's economy is continuing to grow, and the country is strengthening its position on the global stage. While there are still challenges to overcome, the Dong is set for gradual growth, especially as Vietnam's global economic footprint expands. That's all for today's update, folks. I hope you found this video both helpful and informative. The world of currency is always changing, and it's so important to stay on top of the latest developments. If you've got any thoughts, questions, or opinions, I'd love to hear from you. Drop them in the comments below. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time, stay informed, stay smart, and make wise choices with your investments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.